Unfiltered with Bran Otieno and Dongo Gashane. 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 Unfiltered with Bran Otieno and Dongo Gashane.
Hello and welcome to yet another episode of Unfiltered, a current affairs podcast that brings you unbiased analysis of news and political events. My name is Brian Otieno. I'll be hosting this show alongside...
Yes, Dongo Gashane, a political reporter here at the Standard Media Group.
Yeah, I'm also a political reporter.
Yeah.
And today we are lucky to have a guest by the name Joshua Nyamori. Mr. Nyamori here is a lawyer and seasoned political analyst. Bwana Nyamori, karibu sana to the show. We're so glad you could make time for us.
Thank you very much. I feel most privileged to join you today and join the audience in discussing Kenya's political affairs.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Maybe you could just briefly tell us about yourself.
Brian, my name is, as you've mentioned, Joshua Nyamori. I am a village boy.
At the Standard. Our guest, Mr. Joshua Nyamori, a lawyer and a political analyst, was before the hitch telling us about his upbringings from the village of Nyamwari. Mr. Nyamori, do you consider yourself a villager?
I'm a fisherman.
To be precise.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's get right into it. Yesterday, President Ruto pleaded with Kenyans to give him a chance to transform Kenya. He called himself an agent of destiny. Listening to the president, it is as though he feels that Kenyans are already judging him harshly. Would you hold such sentiments?
Not really. I think you are, misinterpreting the president's words. The president said certain people, and those people are known, are his competitors who have decided to run a narrative that does not really reflect what is happening on the ground and does not reflect what he's doing for the country. So he was just reframing the narrative to be able to tell Kenyans exactly what he stands for, what he's doing, and to give confidence to Kenyans and his bases that this is a marathon and we will get there. Yeah.
So he wasn't telling...
All the advantages are on Ruto's, President Ruto's side. I do not see the reason why he should have, he should panic at this time. So,
But you say that he shouldn't panic when, I think 2 weeks ago, we had protests that paralyzed the nation. The president himself had to lock down Nairobi. Isn't that a sign of panic?
the president acted and the government acted to fulfill their mandate under the constitution. Article 238 expects the government to secure the country, ensure that there's stability, ensure that life and property is protected. And Article 37, the government is mandated to ensure those who want to peaceably and unarmed participate in demonstrations, picketing, and assemblies have, their way, but in a way that, protects the rights and interests of others. So police presence during such events is to ensure that when a conflict emerges, and most of the time is because the organizers of those particular protests are not aiming at, getting involved in peaceable and unarmed demonstrations, but actually getting involved in crime, destruction of property, attack of government installations, looting, and threatening the lives of others and the movement of others. When that happens, then they lose protection under Article 37. And it is the duty and mandate of the government to then secure the country. And my belief is that that is what the president and the government have been speaking to.
Yes, but actually going back to the president's remarks yesterday, some people argued that he appeared restless, subdued. He appeared as though he was begging. He's like, please give me a chance to fulfill the mandate. When you say that the president, all the advantages are with the president and he should not panic, but what you are explaining does not is not what was reflected yesterday. The president looks like a man who is actually literally begging, a person who is subdued, a person who seems to have been pushed to the corner by both his opponents, that is the rivals, and also the Gen Zs.
President William Ruto has always been a humble man. and he exudes humility every time he engages. Okay? But then I look at President William Ruto, the path he has come from since he joined politics way back in 1997. He has never been stronger than he is today. He has institutional advantage over any other candidate right now. Although certain chunks of his votes may have left because, certain leaders they worked with then left, but he has gained much more in terms of regional blocs that are now supporting him. As you know, President William Ruto is a grassroots political animal. And I can only say that the person in his younger days who may have had as much energy, strategy, and swiftness at the grassroots could only have been Raila Amolo Odinga. But age has caught up with Raila Amolo Odinga. But in any case, Raila Amolo Odinga is in, the broad-based government formation with President William Ruto. What then that does is that it gives President William Ruto access to, the Raila Amolo Odinga's backyards that he had no access to. Now other politicians in this country, whether as individuals or, as a group of opposition, has those advantages.
Now, you talk about Ruto having the advantage of the regional blocs. You have said something which is very interesting in terms of he may have lost some votes from the region of some of that's Mount Kenya region.
The four counties of Mount Kenya West specifically.
What about Nakuru?
I'm actually asking.
Nakuru is a cosmopolitan county. And the president still has significant support. I dare you that even in Mount Kenya West, the president still has, will still pick quite a bit. So there could be a lot of noise all around. But I have been in politics long enough to realize that the president, goes into this election with an institutional advantage, but as an individual, is as a pretty strong candidate.
Now, let me ask this. I have two questions to that effect. Number one, the issue of the regional blocs. If you look at Raila Amolo Odinga's, that is strongholds, that is Western, Nyanza, Coast, and Ma region. Based on what is happening, we have seen some leaders, especially from Western region, coalescing together and saying that they are going to chart their own political way forward. We have also seen some, especially this party by former deputy president, making some inroads in the Ma region, and it looks like the opposition team is trying to eat into Raila Odinga's strongholds. Then, if you now remove the Mount Kenya region, significant votes that went to Ruto's basket, what is this formula that you are saying that Ruto is, I mean, the formula is to Ruto's advantage?
Far from it. The people who are making noise in those regions have never been with William Ruto, and most of them have never been with Raila Odinga. For instance, if you go to what you call the Ma regions,
Yes.
it's not the Ma people who are making noise. It is Ngongoyo, in I think and a few others who have been hosting the former deputy president, and that is a vote that will most likely go with the deputy president. It is then when you go to Western, the people who may be making noise, who are strong, who may appear strong, probably is Natembea, but then Natembea is not the only strong. Luya community have sub-tribes, and that is the Bukusu community. I tell anybody who underrates, the speaker, what is his name? Wetangula, to think twice. I mean, he's been at this game long enough, and I believe that ultimately the Bukusu sub-tribe will still find their space in government through people like Wetangula. Yeah, I don't think that that vote will crack. When you go to the coast that you have talked about, I think coast is secure.
It is intact.
When you're probably talking about Muhammad Ali making noise there. Muhammad Ali is not the coast vote. Coast vote is people like Joho and other people who are strongly with.
Just a follow up to that. You say the coast vote is with people like Joho, but is it enough? Is the coast vote enough to the coast vote, the Western vote? Is it enough to make up for what the president loses in Mount Kenya?
One, president is not losing the entire Mount Kenya. President will lose a significant part if we continue on the trajectory that we are in, a significant part of Mount Kenya West. Okay? And Mount Kenya West is
Mount Kenya West.
Mount Kenya West.
Kenya East.
What happens in Mount Kenya East?
Mount Kenya West, the areas like Nyeri, Kiambu, Moranga, and so on and so forth. Then, but Mount Kenya East, yes, there has been, a little bit struggle there, but I'm sure it is aligning. I mean, I engage with very many leaders, both the established and even the young and emerging leadership. It is aligning. But I'm also thinking that even Mount Kenya West, ultimately they will realize that, you can't go alone. You can't go alone. I have friends, professional colleagues, and political comrades over the years from Mount Kenya, and we engage quite a bit. And most of them tell you that Gachagua is not making sense to them. He's just excited the masses because of his theatrics. But in any case, he's not making political sense. So I'm sure that at the right time,
but
we will be able to get back a sizable part of that crowd.
So you say you're engaging professional colleagues. Don't you think that is a problem? That is leading you to ignore what is coming out of the ground.
Listening to the ground.
You needed to have listened to what I say. You try to interpret what I'm saying. I'm saying that I have engaged professional colleagues. I have engaged friends, and I've engaged comrades. When I talk about comrades, I have been a politician for a very long time, and a grassroots politician for that matter. I did, youth work, and my age mates that we were with as young people, we worked with over the years from across the country. So I can tell you, Gachagua will naturally pull crowds because he is a comedian. He you know, when you go to a market in your suit, Brian, and somebody else comes naked, who do you think will pull the crowd?
Wakili.
And dancing naked, who do you think will pull it?
Yeah, he's the person who is deemed. But this is the issue.
But then that does not mean that if the people in the market have an opportunity to choose a leader, then they will go for the person who is dancing naked on the stage. No, I don't think so.
So, this is the issue. Other than the ethnic mobilization that you're talking about, and even Ruto getting some sizable number of votes from Mount Kenya region, but hey, there have been cases of abductions, extrajudicial killings, the high cost of living. Are you saying that all these issues will not make sense in 2027?
I think let's categorize the issues. Let's not mix them. Let's first talk about the economy.
Yeah.
Okay, and if you talk about the economy, you know, I'm a student of economics, as I told you.
Yeah.
And President Ruto found a near collapsed economy, economy in depression, and he had to struggle to bring back this economy. If you see the effort he has put and the progress that has been made in stabilizing the macroeconomic factors, inflation gone down from 9% to around 2.7%. He's been able to stabilize the shilling against the dollar from as high as 160 something to now stabilize around 129. He's been able to stabilize the fuel prices that, you know, was a runaway. He's been able to stabilize and ensure that we have supply of basic food items like unga and so on, and stabilize their prices. Then you get to one of the biggest problems that Kenya is having, and that has been building over the years, okay, since we were young people, is the issue of the youth bulge. And the youth bulge come with, you know, massive unemployment. The president has been very innovative in, you know, creating opportunities that will put money in the hands of young people. Talk about the climate works. He, in Nairobi, provided initially 20,000 opportunities for young people to participate in cleaning up Nairobi River. It has now gone to 40,000, and they are rolling out 110,000 employment opportunities. In affordable housing, they employed 360,000 people across the country on a daily basis, but now he's ordered that the affordable housing program should be run on 2 shifts, which means that we will have almost over 600 or 700,000 people working on daily basis. You look at the efforts he has made in the availing Hustler Fund, in getting young people out of, and people who had been blacklisted, out of the CRBs, and ensuring that they are able to access a credit once again. Those are the kind of things that move the economy. You see, when I talk about affordable housing, I'm not talking about just providing housing. We are saying that when money is invested in housing, we are paying the contractors, ensuring that the contractors pay suppliers, they pay for the professionals who are working there, and they pay for the, you know, the common fundies who are working. They pay for the quarries. This money is then the people who get them, they then pay other people. And that is how money circulates to even the boda and the mamamboga that the president was talking about. Yeah, so the president is basically kickstarting an economy that had ground to a halt.
But Kenyans are still saying that the money is not circulating. The border guys are saying that.
It is,
you know,
and the fuel prices that you have just talked about,
they have risen again,
skyrocketed with 8 shillings. And
so you talk about the inflation and the macroeconomics.
Yeah.
But as a student of economy again, you understand that it boils down to the purchasing power of Kenyans.
Indeed,
which has gone down.
Indeed, and I'm telling you that there is no way you can stabilize the pocket or the micro level if the fundamentals at the macro level are unstable. Okay, and so the first and important pillars that the president had to build were the macroeconomic pillars, so as to stabilize the factors that then make prices hike, then affect supply and demand of goods, and the effect of that is slowly being felt by Kenyans. It will take time. It is important to be honest to Kenyans that there is no magic. It really does not matter. It will take time, but it is easy. Okay, when they can be sure that they will not wake up tomorrow and fuel is 300 shillings. That fuel is not available. There was a time we would line up for 3 hours at fuel filling stations. He stabilized that, okay? Because that, when you spend 3 hours waiting for fuel, or you cannot travel because there's no petrol, or matatu suddenly hike prices, it affects whether you are able to do business, it affects whether you're able to get food, it affects whether children are able to go to school, and so on. The president has then invested in further employment, teachers. A number of for many years, the government would employ 3,000, 2,000 teachers. This government has done a revolutionary thing. As at now, they have done 76,000, and the president has promised that by January they will have employed 10,000 teachers. Yeah. So look at agriculture, the production of food. I come from a sugar growing area. For a very long time, our farmers had actually given up on sugarcane, and we're talking about uprooting the sugarcane and planting other things. But now, since the president, made the effort and paid the loans, the credits that, the debts that were owed to farmers, and he has come up with a leasing program in which the sugar factories would then get, capital pumped in by the private sector to improve the infrastructure. It's given confidence to our people.
Yes, but when you talk about employment of teachers, we have had cases of the funding model, which is bringing a lot of trouble, and actually most of the students are complaining that it is not a good model to ensure that even the 100% transition. The issue of you have talked about the issue of the economy.
Yeah,
yesterday,
can we deal about this funding model,
the funding model,
so that we don't lose it. Yeah, this is another issue that we need to analyze critically. The problem in our education sector, especially the higher education, was not created by this government. What happened is that universities for many years depended on the parallel degree program, the private sponsored students who paid quite a bit. Yes, it had certain problems, but those who were able to pay took their children to that program. Okay, and the previous government then suddenly stopped this program. When you stop this program, it puts the universities into crisis, because the universities, based on the inflow of money that was coming through that program, had employed more people, increased salaries. They had then gone into huge capital investment. They had taken loans, and then suddenly this channel was no longer there. So university had to depend on exchequer. And exchequer was giving universities money based on the number of students, and it was the same thing. And then what the students were paying was the minimum. What I paid when I went to university, 25 or more than 30 years ago, is what students were then to pay. The cost of education is more expensive than it was 30 years ago. Now. So it basically became unsustainable, and the government had to find another way of funding education, hence the new funding model. Now, the new funding model, just like the SHA was then misinterpreted, I dare say, by the media, and then the opposition politicians. Because basically the principle in the new funding model is that those who have more should pay more, and those who have less should get scholarships and even loans. Okay, for instance, if I take my child to a nursery school in which I pay for that child 100,000 per term. Same to secondary school, I pay primary and secondary. Why should I get, if the child gets to university and I insist that I should pay for that child 34,000? Rather, my child who I have been paying for at that rate should continue to pay for the university, while is that child from Mukuru or from Nyamware, my village, whose father is not able and has struggled to take the child to school throughout until university, should be able to access full scholarship.
Yes.
So the other challenge, as I complete that, has majorly been the fact that when the system was introduced, students did not know how to fill in, their details. So they were wrongly banded. But I think there has since been a lot of education, and I'm hoping this will improve. And systems have problems when they're being initiated. I think the best thing that ever happened to this country.
You know, Mr. Nyamori, listening to you speak, what I'm hearing from you is the same things that the president says whenever he's on campaign podiums, wherever he meets the people. And the people at the ground are not feeling him. They're not feeling all these rosy things that you're saying. Don't you think that maybe the president needs now to step back and start listening to what they're saying instead of telling them that this is how the situation is?
You know, the problem with the media again is that you sit along Mombasa Road and you want to analyze what people are saying. The president is in the villages and the slums with the people. He was in the slums of Nairobi just the other day. He was with the people of Mathare, the people of Kariobangi, the people of Kibera, and listened to their issues and responded to their issues then. For instance, when he went to Kibera and he was talking about affordable housing, and those people told him, yes, Mr. President, you're talking about affordable housing, but somebody is stealing our public land, our playfield, and they have fenced it. And he ordered immediately that project should stop. And the following day, the NYS personnel were there clearing the ground to put up a stadium for the people of Kibera. Okay? So the president is there listening. It is because the president listens and sees what's happening. That's why he went to Nairobi River and listened to the cries of the people living in the slums, of how pathetic it was. And he did not only commit to create a river, he committed to create a living environment, but in the process also create employment to now over 40,000 young people who are working there, and then people who would then be able to earn from the economy that would be created by that environment. It is because the president is listening that he went to Northeastern and they told him that, it's difficult to reach Nairobi. And he talked about a road in which people, media then started making, on social media, making fun of the way he articulated the paths that road will follow. Today, the road is rolling out and being tarmacked. Are you doubting that?
Okay,
the president came to my village and listened to us, and we told him one of the problems we have is that fish in the lake is being depleted. We do not have fish landing beaches. The government then invested 1.5 billion shillings in the fish project at Kabonyo Kanyagwal. What else do you want the president to listen
Sorry
to?
to interrupt you.
Yeah.
Where does he draw the line when it comes to calls for accountability, calls to end abductions, to end extrajudicial killings, police brutality? Does he draw the line there?
Let me tell you, I grew up in worse times in this country. I always tell people that I grew up in the streets doing mandamano, okay, from very young age, and I have seen the worst of stages. In all this police brutality that we now call is something that has been with us for many years. It's a historical legacy in which we inherited a police force that was used by the colonial system to subjugate and to control and to suppress. Okay, successive governments have never made efforts to reform the police force, to ensure that it becomes a service. Even though in the new constitution we gave the promise in the constitution that it will be a service, but what then happened is that even after the new constitution, government still continued to use police as a police force. And every time these issues were raised, when Yala swamp, Yala deaths were raised, the government denied. When we talked about post-election killings, the government denied. When I was in Kisumu, even in 2005, as people were killed in the streets during the referendum protests, the government denied that those things happened. But this is the first government that the president has come out and said that, there has been a problem, and this problem will stop. And as a government, he will not tolerate. That when a president says that, it doesn't mean that those things will stop immediately. Because you see, the president, I want you to listen to me. I want you to listen to me. The president inherited a system that was dysfunctional. So he has to reform the system. And that is why he appointed Maraga to head the police task force. The same Maraga who headed the police task force is now in the streets with Gen Z making noise after being paid. The money probably that he was paid for that task force is now using to incite young people. The same Maraga who, released the killers of an Moi MP in the year 2009. Who was a policeman, and said that policeman was provoked. Today is saying that the thugs who attacked Kikuyu court are genuine protesters who should not be slapped with the terrorism act.
Wakil, before we go to the protesters, we are going to discuss about the issue of protesters and whether the government had a part or had taken a part in that. But before we go to that direction, you have branded President William Ruto as a reasoning president. He's a person who reasons. He inherited a dysfunctional state institutions. But the president who reasons is the one who orders shoots on the reg, who gives shoot on the reg orders. The president who reasons is the one who's cabinet secretary for interior and coordination of national government, issues shoot to kill orders. It is the president that you say he reasons that the other day he branded protesters as terrorists. It is the president who you say and describe as a reasoning president that seems to have disconnected himself from the cries and the issues of the human rights violations.
Allow me to explain that before you introduce another issue. Now, I have again listened to the media trying to misinterpret what the president spoke about. Okay? What the CS for Interior, and I'm a student of human rights law. I'm in a class right now studying human rights law. And I have been out there campaigning for human rights. And now, if you give me a minute, I want to explain this. That what the president and the CS for Interior spoke about is in the law. Okay? And I want to start it by explaining the fact that the most important article in the Constitution that gives the people the right to participate is Article 1, even before we go to Article 37. And that Article 1.1 says that the sovereign power is vested in the people, but it shall be exercised only in accordance with this Constitution. So you cannot exercise sovereign power in a way that is not in accordance with the Constitution. The Constitution then gives us about 4 or so, ways in which the people can exercise their sovereign power. One of them is through election, that we elect our leaders every 5 years. The other one is recall. We can recall these leaders. The other one is referendum. The other one is public participation. And the other one is protest under Article 37. Okay, so then we jump to Article 30. So beyond that, you cannot exercise sovereignty. So then we jump to Article 37, that then gives us the right to protest. I want you to take note of the words used in that article. A number of people say that we have a right to protest, so they think they have a right to ban the country. You don't have a right to ban the country. You don't have. What is in the Constitution is that every Kenyan has a right to peaceably and unarmed. And take note of those two words. And I want you to take note of the fact that it does not talk about peaceful and unarmed. It talks about peaceably and unarmed. There's a difference between peaceable and peaceful. Peaceful is just the fact of being peaceful and not violent. Peaceable is basically a concept that you have to demonstrate. If you want to exercise Article 37 rights, you must, there is a caveat and there is a condition. You must demonstrate that you will be peaceful, that the process of organizing, planning, advertising, mobilizing, actual demonstrations and demobilizing will be such that there will be no conflict with others. And if at one point in planning or mobilizing you make a communication that might make that process not peaceable, then the state has authority to stop it. And then I want to also remind you that the courts have considered various articles in the Constitution and have then said, held that you to interpret the Constitution, you cannot pick one article and interpret it exclusively. That you must interpret the Constitution holistically. So that if you want to then exercise your Article 37 right, you must know that there is somebody who must be allowed to exercise his Article 40 rights. You must also know that there is somebody who must exercise his Article 43 right to socioeconomic rights. You must also know that there is somebody who it depends on the state to exercise its duty under Article 238, which is to ensure national security. You get my point?
I do.
Now, if you give me just 1 minute to complete the point I'm saying.
On the shoot to kill
Yes,
order.
yes, that's what I want to get to.
Yes.
So when you are exercising Article 37, you must ensure that it's peaceable and armed. When it is not peaceable and armed, then you will be infringing on Article 238. Immediately you infringe on Article 238, then the state is under obligation to protect the rest of the Kenyans so that those other Kenyans can then exercise their rights. Okay? Now, to every article of the Constitution, there is an act of parliament that promulgates it. Okay? It is just this Article 37 that here people not want us to have an act to promulgate it, to operationalize it. So if you go to Article 238, we then have the National Police Service Act. National Police Service Act, if you read it, I think it is section 60 or 61, it says it allows the police to use arms when it is appropriate, necessary and necessary.
Yes.
Okay? And so when it is appropriate and necessary, when somebody is attacking a police officer, you remember this lady police officer who was being attacked and fell down and was saved by a Gen Z. That lady, if she had a gun, she had authority to use a gun. If her colleague had a gun to protect her, he had authority to use that gun. The policeman who pointed a gun at, I think it was called karaoke. Yes. That one had no authority to use that gun, misuse that gun, and is in court for murder.
Yes.
Okay?
Yeah.
So my point is that there are certain circumstances when police are allowed, and when police are allowed, what the president was basically saying is that if somebody is violating the law, looting, destroying property, trying to attack national installations, okay, then the the use of the arm you should use the bare minimum force possible, saying
But
you can
he's shooting,
shoot
shooting in
you-
the leg. Really,
you
He's
can
not
damaging.
using
shoot
bare
the leg.
minimum.
You know,
Rex Masai died because of that.
you must compare. You
Uh-huh.
know, and I keep telling, we have to be truthful to young people. And I have got, my children are now Gen Zs, and I become honest with them, and I tell them, when the policeman is allowed to use the bullet when it's necessary and appropriate, but that bullet, when it is released from the gun, one of the most likely effects is that you will die, irrespective of where you're shot.
Yeah.
Okay? So the first thing is that we should avoid as much as possible situation where the bullet has to be fired. Okay? But when it is fired, then, rather than targeting your chest, the president said, do not target Brian's chest.
Target
his leg.
Yeah,
But
what
this
is
is the president
And that
dishing
that-
out orders
Yes.
to the police.
Yes.
This is the cabinet secretary for interior.
Yes.
Dishing orders. You have talked about
You-
Article 2, is it 238?
238,
That
yes.
talks about the National Police Service Act.
Yes.
This is an independent institution that the boss, the person who is supposed to issue such orders, is the inspector general. But this is the president who is directing the police on what to do.
No. No. One, the president is the head of government. Okay?
Otieno and Dongo.
Welcome back. This is Unfiltered. We apologize for the technical hitch, but we are back and we are having a discussion here with Wakili Nyamori and my brother here, Brian Otieno. Before the technical hitch, Wakili, I was to ask a question in relation to, you have painted a picture of a very good, growing, healthy economy. But we have seen former chairperson for the National Assembly Committee for Budget, MP Dedi Nyoro, saying that there is no fiscal discipline. The issue of the financing approach lacks transparency and also a viable long-term value. When he talks about the 44 billion shillings for the Taranta Mashinani, I think Taranta Stadium, and he says that that money, by the end of the day, Kenyans will have to pay for 100 billion Kenyan shillings. What do you have to say about that?
I must confess that I'm extremely disappointed on Ndini Nyoro. You know, I had always looked up to Ndini Nyoro as a young man who could grow and become, you know, a politician who could, pull some traction and represent something. He has come out as somebody who represents nothing. I mean, Ndini Nyoro was the chairman of budget. So clearly, this the planning and budgeting for this particular project was done during this era. So today he speaks as if he's never been involved in policy, fiscal policy design. Securitization is not a new model of financing. It's been used in Kenya before. I mean, we've used it in financing oil pipelines. We have used it in financing the what is it called? The expressway. I used expressway when coming here, and I was only able to reach here in time because of the expressway. The model is that we pay as we use. Okay, so there is no money, there's no burden, there's no debt burden that will be left to Kenyans. Just like I paid for the expressway, people who use Talanta Stadium will pay for the Talanta Stadium as they use it. Again, the figure of 100 billion that he talked about is extremely over-exaggerated and not based on any calculation. I challenge him to come out and give a calculation of how he's arrived at that 100 billion. I think the cost, every debt must have a cost. Okay, if you cannot pay the cost of the debt, then you can't access debt. Okay, I think it is far much less. I'm sure that next time you call me, I will come with the figures. But then he talks as if he's the only one who's learned economics, or the only one who's done fiscal design. I mean, I again, before I studied law, I was trained by the World Bank Institute on public fiscal design. So, and I know that securitization and getting people to pay for the finances directly is a way of protecting the future generations, so that we do not burden them with debts that the public would then put into the exchequer and probably misuse. But that whatever we get, we will pay for it over the years as we use it. So it is complete nonsense from Ndini Nyoro.
Yeah, so I want us to move on to the next subject.
Yeah.
You said at the start of the show, you say that the president is not worried about the opposition.
Yeah.
What would you say would be his winning strategy to secure a two-term?
The president's winning strategy is delivering for Kenyans on what he promised. So that when the president said that he will ensure that agriculture is revived, agriculture is today revived. Okay? And all over the country, farmers are producing more, so that we are not importing sugar anymore. So that coffee farmers are being paid, I think it's now 200 or something like that, where they were being paid 50 shillings per kilo. So that the farmers in the dairy sector are paid more and paid regularly. So that fishermen in the blue economy are able to get fish landing sites, and you know, see in Lake Victoria, apart from a fish landing site, he just commissioned the construction of 2 ferries, one to Luanda Cotino, another one to Homa Bay. He's doing the same in Indian Ocean. Those are the kind of things that will have the president re-elected. He talked about affordable housing. Kenya is becoming a construction site with houses coming up all over, creating employment, you know, reducing the cost of living. So those immediately is what I can say will have the president elected. But apart from that, President William Ruto was able to beat the system as an outsider who had been consigned, you know, to the oblivion. That the entire state machinery was, you know, targeted to destroy him. But he managed to beat all that and won. Today, he's not only the president, but he has his
system.
He has and not only that, he has his greatest opponent in the 2022 election in his corner, and that is Raila Amolo Odinga, and that he is able to access villages and slums where Raila Odinga held sway, where he could not campaign in. I mean, he was just in Kibera the other day. He's able to come to Kondele and campaign in Kondele. He's able to go to the coast. And you know, those are areas that he couldn't campaign in 2022. So what I'm trying to tell you is that in terms of coverage, he's expanded his coverage in terms of where he's vote hunting. And then who is he campaigning against? The opposition is divided and not focused. They do not only have no candidate, but they do not stand for anything. What is it? They only sing one term. Have you heard? You know, Gachagua talks about Morima. I mean, a guy goes to the U.S., gets Kenyans living in the U.S. who are, you know, businessmen and experts in various places, rather than tapping into their potential and speaking to them about a new Kenya and giving them a vision that would give them confidence. The guy spends a whole 3 hours talking about a mountain. Okay? Yeah. The guy spends a lot all that time telling those guys not to remit money to their relatives in Kenya. I mean,
so with Raila in Ruto's corner, you think he has the numbers to win?
My point is that President William Ruto has access to a population that probably he had no access to. Okay? And here I'm talking about Raila's constituency all over the country. It is my view that gives him quite an advantage. You know, that none of these other candidates have. Yeah,
But the Secretary General for the ODM party, Edwin Sifuna, said that other than what you talk about the opposition, Gashaguas and Karonzos of this world, Sifuna said that removing Ruto is the national priority agenda. And this is not your ordinary ODM member speaking. This is the SG. And you know, sometimes we used to have some club, and we used to have an honorary secretary general who had so huge, so many, and he was so strong that you could not sign a check without his input. Now this guy Sifuna, the secretary general of ODM, we have seen other ODM members disassociating with the broad-based government. We have Babu Owino, we have Kareba Misi, we have other leaders from Western.
James Orengo.
We have James Orengo. So Wakili, what do you make of the difference in terms of ideology from the ODM party, and where will this leave Raila Amolo Odinga, as you call him?
You know, I'm not a member of ODM.
Yes.
But I grew up in ODM. Okay?
Yeah.
I was in Ford at a very young age. I attended Jaramogi's rally in 1990 in Kisumu. Okay? I was in Ford, Kenya. I was in NDP. I was in New Kanu. I was in LDP.
Those are Raila Amolo Odinga's party.
I was in ODM.
Yes.
Okay? I left ODM in 2011.
Yeah.
But I still respect Raila as
You left
a
ODM
formidable-
for?
I am in UDA now.
Okay.
I'm a member of UDA. Yeah, but I still respect Raila Odinga as a formidable leader. As a young person spending time around him, I can tell you that all those people you have talked about are creations of Raila Amolo Odinga. Any light they are shining, it is a light that is reflected or refracted from Raila. If he switches off the light, they will have no light to shine.
Wakili,
And
surely.
so, sincerely, I mean, if
But times have
give
changed,
me,
Wakili.
give me
Okay.
an example. Let me give you examples.
Yes.
Sifuna, what's his political base? Where did he get the votes? Sifuna was simply elected senator because of Raila Odinga. He had tried to run in Bungoma, was not able to make it. You talk about Orengo. The Orengo we knew in the 90s, and the Orengo of today is a creation of Raila. He cannot win a re-election in Siaya without Raila. Babu Owino, I respect him. I mean, I had been in student politics, so I look at him as my younger brother. I like his energy. But, I keep telling people around him that, tell Babu that crowd around him is Raila's crowd. It is not his crowd, okay? And that is a science that only somebody who understands the structure and the politics of ODM would understand. That those people who think they are very popular, they are popular because of borrowed crowds.
What about Caleb Amisi?
Caleb Amisi, what crowd does it have?
You
that
know,
is
in
separate?
Saboti,
Yeah.
Saboti is usually an opposition strong, not opposition really.
Yeah.
It was a William Ruto stronghold.
You know,
But then this is an MP from that elected under ODM.
yeah. They are always the default, candidates, and it's not normally that they are institutional. They are institutionalized. There must have been a factor during the election time that favored him. Okay,
Yeah.
there was an MP, I think, in that area called Kapondi, who was, I think, elected when he was in prison or he just come from prison. Okay, because there was a rebellion against, the established system. So those are normally there, but unless
I think Kapondi is still an MP.
it's still an MP.
Yeah, in
Yes,
Mount Elgon.
yes. But those normally happen because of certain factors, and unless that leader then entrenched himself, rarely do they survive. And Hamisi is a young man, and I would advise him from wherever he is that some of us have been in this politics long enough, and we know that there are pillars of politics that you need to hang on to certain pillar as you grow as a young man. He cannot be fighting Ruto and fighting Raila at the same time and thinking that he will succeed. He, at some point when we were young, we thought we could overthrow systems. The way I see these young people thinking that they can just overthrow systems. Political systems are strong, grown, and matured, and it takes quite a while. I keep reminding those who think that, for instance, they can overthrow Raila's system, is that Raila, one, inherited a system that the father started building in 1940s when they built the Luo Thrift and Trading Corporation. Then they built into political parties. Then he himself, what people don't know is that Raila first wanted to run for election in 1972. He was just stopped by the father. He had to go to jail for 9 years. He's built structures, and I have had opportunity to move around with him when we were building LDP and NDP and building ODM. And there are certain places, a place like Kapsawar, a place like Tot, that most of these national politicians have never visited and will never visit. Okay, but he had penetrated those places. It takes time, it takes energy, it takes resources. Okay?
Indeed, he had penetrated those areas.
Yeah.
But you must also admit that his influence seems to be diminishing.
It really, depends on what you mean by Raila's influence diminishing. Raila definitely is not young anymore. Okay, but you must note that in the last election, him and William Ruto had a difference of 200,000 votes.
But he was trounced.
Now, 200,000 votes. What am I trying to tell you? That there were two strongest politicians in 2022. His running mate did not even deliver an MCA. That is Martha Karua. Okay? So a significant part of that vote was because of Raila Odinga. Probably you can give credit to somebody like Kalonzo Musyoka, who may have delivered, the Kamba nation. But the rest of the nation was majorly, because even the Uhuru Kenyatta's constituency did not deliver much. Okay? So the question is, who has taken that vote? Votes just don't disappear in the air. Okay? They don't evaporate. They are only taken, they can be taken by somebody else. Like we can say that Uhuru Kenyatta's support in 2013 and 2017, a significant part of it was taken by William Ruto. And we can say that Mount Kenya West, a significant part of, the man in the streets may be gravitating towards Gachagua. Okay? But who has taken Odinga's vote? Right now, it is only William Ruto who is engaging that crowd.
That's for a fact, and I agree with you 100%. But this is the question: what if? Because Raila Odinga, in an interview, said that the political marriage, or so to speak, is up to 2027. So this is the question. So, are you confirming that Raila is Ruto's oxygen? And if Raila decides to vie for presidency, what then happens to Ruto?
Again, you are putting words into my mouth. Again, you are putting words into my mouth. The point I'm trying to drive at is that vote bloc that Raila represents is not fighting William Ruto now. In fact, if you listen to them, they are the fiercest campaigners for 2 terms. Okay, that Raila Amolo Odinga said that they have a pact to support this government until 2027, and then he's telling anybody who wants to depose Ruto to wait for 2027, is not in contradiction with the message from his support base that they are supporting William Ruto for 2 terms. Basically, what in politics, you make what I would call seasonal commitments. For instance, they made a commitment to form the broad-based government up to 2027, and both of them lived up to the commitments. When it gets to 2027, then they can ask themselves the question, then what else do we do? Do we go apart, or do we stay together?
And that's where the question now comes in.
And you see, people who think that then when it gets to 2027, Raila will just, without a second thought, decide to walk away from William Ruto. Walk away from William Ruto to where? There are only 2 options. One option is that he runs for presidency. The other option is that he supports another candidate. Okay? For him to run for presidency, and I respect Raila Amolo Odinga extremely. He is an indefatigable campaigner. But we must also appreciate that age is catching up with him. And since age is catching up with him, he's slowing down. He's naturally slowing down. And it would be a disservice, in my view, for anybody to try and pull Raila Amolo Odinga into another election process. Okay? Then there is the option of him supporting somebody else.
And that other person is William Ruto.
The only person he will support is William Ruto. I mean, Raila has been in a pact with Kalonzo Musyoka, but he made a choice. He made a choice to work with William Ruto. And Kalonzo has... I always tell people that the best time for Raila Amolo Odinga to become president was in 2007. He needed Kalonzo Musyoka at that moment. Because with Kalonzo on his side, with the 800,000 votes that Kalonzo walked away with, no one would have stolen that vote. Okay? And I was deep inside, so I knew the dynamics. Okay? But Kalonzo, at a decisive moment, killed the revolution by walking out and running And so keeping away the 800,000
Who
votes.
walked out? Wasn't it Raila who walked out?
No.
It was.
No.
They were together in ODM Kenya.
And you remember
Then
the
Raila walked
ODM.
out into ODM.
We had the ODM Kenya and then ODM.
What happened is this. Kalonzo then instructed, walking out is Kalonzo instructed Manzo to register the party and walk away with the party, okay? And tell them that the party belongs to him, okay? And with that, he left Kina Raila in the, you know, when somebody leaves you in the deep sea, okay? And takes off with, you know, the ship and you're left in a raft. They had to find another vehicle to use to the shore. Okay, that was ODM.
Yes.
Okay, and so that was in my view, and I was close to Raila at that time, and I can tell you how that punctured him. That was a betrayal. Okay, and Raila's constituency, Raila must forgive. Raila forgives. Okay,
and they must have forgiven each other because they worked together. They worked together
They have worked
in
together.
2012, 2017, 2022.
But I
3
can tell
times,
you
Wakili.
that Raila's constituency has never forgiven Kalonzo Musyoka for that moment of betrayal.
Has it forgiven William
Raila
Ruto
would have
for-
retired.
Yeah.
Raila would have retired, you know, as a former president. Okay. Now you're talking about William Ruto. William Ruto, it is some groups within Raila's corner that actually push William Ruto out. If you were active in politics during that moment, you remember people around Raila Odinga who would tell William Ruto that get out. Okay, we will get other people. Okay, so it was unfortunate, but they have made up. Okay,
nothing stops Raila and Kalonzo from making up. But then you said that Raila's bases are saying two-term, but Western is not saying two-term, and neither is Kisii.
No. Kisii definitely because of Matiang'i. You know, there's a moment of ethnic, you know, romanticizing an ethnic hero. Okay, and so Matiang'i has become an ethnic hero. But with the time, normally those ethnic groups realize that this thing is taking us nowhere. So they either abandon that politician and get back to the mainstream, or they force that politician to get back to the mainstream. I'll give you an example. President William Ruto told us when we visited the people of Kisumu that in 2007, the people of Rift Valley told him that they had decided to go to Bondo, and that if he wanted to follow them, he should catch up with them. Okay, and so that is what would happen to people like Matiang'i. I believe that, for instance, the Gusii community, which is the only place where there is excitement about Matiang'i's candidature, are very practical, you know, people. I believe that at a certain moment they will realize that Matiang'i's candidature is you know, is an aborted pregnancy, and it will not live back. Just the same as I see my brothers and sisters in Mount Kenya realizing that an impeached villager and you know, theatric comedian cannot make president.
Let me ask you this question, Wakili.
Yeah.
How do you think of President William Ruto's support if, for example, because we are dealing with assumptions with, for example, if Raila decides that he is going, because I believe he said that they are going to review the 10-point agenda in the memorandum of understanding between the ODM and the UDA party, and some of some of the 10-point agendas include the compensation of the victims of the protesters who were ferried by allegedly by police, the issue of aiding abductions and extrajudicial killings. So he said they are going to review, and there can only be two results. Number one, they decide that it's good, it's okay, let's continue with this broad-based arrangement. In case they decide that President William Ruto's UDA party has contravened or has breached the MOU, assuming that he decides he will not support Ruto, what do you make of Ruto's re-election strategy in 2027 without Raila support?
One, I have been close to both leaders, and I know them as very practical politicians. Okay,
Yeah.
and I know that the most practical thing and the most viable option for both of them, and they realize that it is them working together, and that anybody who is keep telling Raila Odinga to run independently are people who want to use him, people who want to hang on his coat. Okay, these are some of the people who were not even interested in him going to the AU Commission because they thought that if he goes, then they will lose their support. Okay, so when he says they will review, it therefore means that they are not going to make whimsical decisions. That decision will be based on credible review of achievements, and then credible, projection on what could happen, and in through scenario building. My view is that when the president works on the economy, that is living up to the MOU. When the CS Murkomen and PS Omolo then promulgates a policy on use of arms for the police, that is living up to the MOU. But then when you talk about the issue of compensation, the discussion going on in Raila's corner, and because I am close to that corner, is that who are we compensating? Are we only compensating people who died in 2022? And majority of the people in Raila's corner are saying, no, we have to start compensation with people who were killed at Kisumu, at Jaramogi Oginga Odinga Hospital, then called Russia, in 1969. There were over 100 people who were killed there, including women and children. We have to compensate our people who were killed in 1982. We have to compensate people who were killed during the Mo Kenya, during the 1990s. We have to compensate people who were killed in 1997 during the no reform, no election. We have to compensate people who were killed in 2005 during the referendum demonstration, 2007, over 1,300 Kenyans, including almost 400 and something from Kisumu, Homa Bay, and Siaya. We have to compensate people who died in 2017 and 2022 and during the ODM mandamanos. Now, that means, therefore, that it will be a huge national commitment. And I always tell people that we should talk about reparation rather than compensation. Because we cannot say that we are only going to compensate the people who died in 2020. What about the rest who died? I mean, some of us counted bodies in mortuaries in Kisumu. And when you talk about reparations, it means that we need to trace the families of those victims over the years. And not necessarily give them money, but give them dignity. Okay? If they have a housing problem, deal with the housing problem. If they have an employment problem, deal with that. If it is a communal thing, deal with, for instance, go to Wagala and deal with the Wagala, give dignity to the Wagala people. And the road that the president is building is part of giving dignity to that region. Okay? So, what am I saying? That the government is actually actively dealing with some of those things, but those things are bigger than some short-sighted thespians are trying to tell us.
Wakili, time is running out. It's been a very interesting conversation, and we can't exhaust it all. So we'll be sure to call you back again.
I'm most privileged to have joined you. Yeah, I will be happy to join you again to continue the discussion. But I want to assure you that we will sit here with you. I want to come here on in October 2027. And laugh together with you, as we see President William Ruto having been sworn in as the second for his second term.
We wish you all the best.
Thank you.
Tutaonana hiyo siku.
Thank you. Asanteni sana.
That's Unfiltered from us for today. See you next week.
Unfiltered. Unfiltered with Bran Otieno and Dongo Gashane. Unfiltered with Bran Otieno and Dongo Gashane. Unfiltered with Bran Otieno and Dongo Gashane. Unfiltered with Bran Otieno and Dongo Gashane.